Chapter 4. Oh my gosh, we've done it. We're back. We're actually back on English soil. Or at least English tarmac. We spent last night in Luke's flat, and now we're driving along the Surrey roads in a hired car, all ready to surprise Mom and Dad. In about 2 minutes, we'll arrive at their house. It's just after 11, so they'll be having coffee in the garden as usual, with no idea. I can barely keep still for excitement. In fact, I keep banging my knee on the South American tribal mask. I can just see the looks on Mom and Dad's faces when they see us. Mom's face will light up and Dad will look astounded. Then his face will break into a smile and we'll be running to each other through the clouds of smoke. Actually, maybe there won't be any clouds of smoke. I'm thinking of the railway children. But anyway, it'll be fantastic. The most fantastic reunion ever. To be honest, Mom and Dad have probably found it quite hard going without me. I'm their only daughter. And this is the longest they've ever had to go without seeing me. 10 whole months. I will so make their day coming back home. We swing onto Mayfield Avenue, and for the first time I feel just the tiniest twinge of nerves. Luke, should we have called, I say? Too late now, Luke replies calmly and signals left. We're nearly at our street. Oh gosh, I really am starting to feel jittery. What if they're so shocked to see us they have heart attacks, I say in sudden panic. I'm sure they'll be fine, Luke laughs. Don't worry. And now we're in Elton Road, my parents' road. We're coming up to their house. We're here. Luke pulls into the drive and turns off the engine. For a moment, neither of us moves. Ready, says Luke. Feeling suddenly self-conscious, I get out of the car and slam the door. It's a bright sunny day and the street is quiet, apart from a few birds twittering and the distant sound of a lawnmower. I walk up to the front door, hesitate, and then, with a sudden surge of excitement, lift my hand and firmly press the bell. Nothing happens. I wait a few moments, then ring again, but there's silence. They're not in. How can they not be in? I feel indignant. Where on earth are my parents? They're always home. That's where they belong. Don't they realize their only beloved daughter is back from her round-the-world trip? We could go for a coffee and come back later, suggests Luke. I suppose so, I say, trying to hide my disappointment. This has ruined my whole plan. I was all ready for a great emotional reunion, not going off for a stupid cup of coffee. Disconsolate, I walk up the path and lean on the wrought iron gate. I fiddle with the broken catch, which Dad has said for 20 years he's going to mend, and look at the roses, which Mom and Dad had put in last year for our wedding. Gosh, we've been married nearly a year. That's a weird thought. Suddenly, I hear the distant sound of voices traveling along the street. I raise my head and squint. A pair of figures has just rounded the corner. It's them. It's Mom and Dad. Mom's in a print dress and Dad's in a pink short-sleeved shirt, and they both look tan and healthy. Mom! I shriek. Dad! I open my arms wide. We're back! Mom and Dad look up and both freeze to the spot. Suddenly I notice they've got someone else with them. Some woman or girl. I can't see properly in this bright sunlight. Mom! I cry again. Dad! The strange thing is they aren't moving. They must be too shell-shocked by my appearance or something. Maybe they think I'm a ghost. I'm back, I yell. It's me, Becky. Surprise! Then, to my utter astonishment, Mom and Dad start retreating. What are they doing? They're supposed to be running toward me. They disappear around the corner, and for a few moments I'm too baffled to speak. Luke, was that Mom and Dad? I say at last. I think so. Luke sounds equally puzzled. And did they really run away from me? I'm stricken. My own parents running away from me as though I've got the plague. No, Luke says quickly. Of course not. They probably just didn't see you. Look, he suddenly points. There they are again. Sure enough, Mom and Dad have appeared around the corner. Again, this time without the girl. They walk along for a few steps, and Dad dramatically grabs Mom and points at me. Look, he says, it's Becky. Becky! Mom exclaims in a stilted voice. It can't be true. She sounds just like she did in the amateur dramatics Agatha Christie last year when she played the lady who discovered the body. Becky, Luke, Dad calls. And now they really are running toward us, and I feel a huge swell of emotion rising. Mom, I shout, Dad, we're back. I raced toward them, throwing my hands out. I landed Dad's arms, and the next moment, Mom's there too, and we're all in a great big hug. "You're home," Dad exclaims. "Welcome back, darling." "Is everything all right?" Mom peers at me anxiously. "Are you okay?" "We're fine. We just decided to come home early. We wanted to see you all." I squeeze Mom tightly. "We knew you'd be missing us." All three of us walk back to the house where Dad shakes Luke's hand and Mom gives him an enormous hug. "I can't believe it," she says, looking from Luke to me. "I just can't believe it. Luke, your hair, it's so long." "I know," he grins at me. "It'll be coming up before I go to work." I open my mouth automatically to protest, then close it again. I'm feeling too joyful to start arguing. Instead, I beam happily back at him, my arms still linked inside Dad's. This is how I imagined it, everyone together and happy, though I'm still wondering what was going on earlier. Impulsively, I hug Mom again with my free arm. "It's so lovely to see you." "It's lovely to see you, darling." She hugs me back, and I inhale the familiar scent of her green Irish tweed perfume, which she's been wearing as long as I can remember. "That's a relief to hear," I laugh, "because it almost looked like you were..." I break off, feeling a bit awkward. "What, love?" "Well, it kind of looked as if you were trying to avoid me." I give another little laugh to show what a ridiculous idea this is. There's a pause, and I'm not totally sure, but I think I see Mom and Dad glance at each other. "Dad dropped his spectacles," says Mom brightly. "Didn't you, love?" "That's right," Dad chimes in heartily. "I dropped my specs. We had to go back for them," Mom explains. Both she and Dad are watching me with alert expressions. What's going on? Are they hiding something? "Is that Becky?" A shrill voice pierces the atmosphere, and I look around to see Janice, our next-door neighbor, peering over the fence. She's wearing a pink flowery dress with matching eyeshadow, and her hair has been dyed a very strange shade of auburn. "Becky," she clasps her hands breathlessly to her chest. "Is it you? I mean, it is you." "Hi, Janice," I say, trying to hide my discomfiture. "We're back." "You look so well," she exclaims. "Don't they look well?" she says to my parents. "So brown." "That's traveling for you," I say nonchalantly. "And Luke, you look just like Crocodile Dundee." Janice is goggling at both of us with open admiration, and I can't help feeling gratified. "Let's go in," says Mom, "and you can tell us all about it." This is the moment I've pictured so many times, sitting down with friends and family and telling all about our foreign adventures. Spreading out a crinkly map, describing sunrises over mountains, looking at the avid faces, listening to the gasps of admiration. Except that now it's actually happening. It isn't going quite like I imagined. "Did you go to Tenerife?" Janice keeps interrupting as I try to describe wading through the Amazon. "Or Majorca? You can get some lovely packages." "No," I say, feeling a twinge of annoyance. "We went to Africa, India." I spread my arms everywhere. "I can't stand the heat." Janice shakes her head. "Never could, even in Florida." She suddenly brightens. "Did you go to Disneyland?" No." "Oh, well," Janice looks sympathetic. "Never mind. Maybe next time." "Next time? What, next time we spend 10 months traveling around the world?" "It certainly sounds like a lovely holiday," she adds encouragingly. "It wasn't a holiday," I want to exclaim. "It was a traveling experience. Honestly, I bet when Christopher Columbus came back from America, people didn't meet him off the boat with, 'Ooh, Christopher, did you go to Disneyland?'" I glance up at Mom and Dad, but they're not even listening. They're standing by the sink, and Mom's murmuring something to Dad. I don't like this. There is definitely something going on. I glance at Luke, and he's watching Mom and Dad too. "We brought you presents," I exclaim loudly, reaching for my carrier bag. "Mom, Dad, have a look." With some difficulty, I pull out the South American mask and present it to Mom. It's in the shape of a dog's face with big teeth and huge circular eyes, and I have to say it looks pretty impressive. I brought it all the way back from Paraguay, I add with a glow of pride. I feel like such an explorer. Here I am, bringing rare artifacts of the indigenous South American culture to Oxshott. I mean, how many people in Britain have even seen one of these? Maybe a museum will ask to borrow it for an exhibition or something. goodness, says Mom, turning it over a little nervously. What is it? It's a traditional ritual mask made by Chiriguano Indians, isn't it? Janice says brightly. Have you been to Paraguay, Janice? I say, taken aback. Oh, no, love. She takes a sip of coffee. I've seen them in John Lewis. For a moment, I can't quite speak. You've seen them in John Lewis? I say at last. In Kingston, the gift department, she beams. You can buy everything in John Lewis these days. Never knowingly undersold, chimes in Mum. I do not believe this. I've lugged this mask approximately 6,000 miles around the globe. It was supposed to be a rare and exotic treasure, and all the time it's been on sale at bloody John Lewis. Mum glimpses my face. But yours will be the real thing, love, she says quickly. We'll put it on the mantelpiece next to Dad's golf trophy. Okay, I say a bit gloomily. I glance up at Dad, and he's still staring out the window, not listening to a word. Maybe I'll give him his present later. So what's been happening here? I say, taking a cup of coffee from Mum. How's Martin and Tom? I ask Janice. Both well, thank you. Tom's living with us for a while. I give an understanding nod. Tom is Janice and Martin's son, and he's had a bit of a disaster with his marriage. His wife Lucy left him basically because he wouldn't have a tattoo done to match hers. They've sold their house, Janice says, looking wistful. Did very well out of it, actually. And is he okay? Mum and Janice exchange looks. He's been throwing himself into his hobbies, Janice says at last, keeping himself busy. His new thing is woodworking. He's made all sorts of things for us. She looks slightly beleaguered. 3 garden benches, 2 bird tables, and now he's working on a 2-story summer house in the garden. Wow, I say politely, that's great. An oven timer suddenly starts pinging, and I look up in surprise. Has Mum taken to baking while we've been away? Are you cooking something? I peer at the oven, which appears to be dead. No, Mum gives a trill of laughter. That's to remind me to check eBay. eBay? I stare at her. What do you mean eBay? How would Mum know about eBay? She doesn't know anything about computers. 2 years ago, I suggested she give Luke a new mouse for Christmas, and she went to a pet shop. You know, darling, internet shopping. I'm bidding on a Ken Hum wok, a pair of candlesticks. She pulls a flowery notepad out of her pocket and consults it. Oh, yes, and a head trimmer for Dad. Used only once. eBay is marvelous, chimes in Janice. Such fun. Have you used it, Becky? Well, no. Oh, you'd love it, says Mum at once, although I couldn't get through last night to check on my Port Marion plates. She clicks her tongue. I don't know what was wrong. The domain servers were probably down, Janice says knowledgeably. I've been having trouble with my modem all week. Biscuit, Becky? I cannot get my head around this. Mum, on eBay? Next, she'll be saying she's up to level 6 on Tomb Raider. But you haven't even got a computer, I say. You hate modern technology. Not anymore, love. Janice and I did a course. We've gone broadband. She looks at me seriously. Let me give you a word of advice, Becky. If you're going broadband, I'd install a decent firewall. Okay, this is all wrong. Parents are not supposed to know more about computers than their children. I nod carelessly and take a sip of coffee, trying to hide the fact that I don't have a clue what a firewall is. Jane, it's 10 to 12. Janice says cautiously to Mom, are you going to? I don't think so, Mom says. You go on. What is it? I look from face to face. Is something wrong? Of course not, says Mom, putting down her coffee cup. It's just we agreed to go on to the Marshall's lunch party today with Janice and Martin, but don't worry, we'll send our apologies. Don't be silly, I say at once. You must go. We don't want to mess up your day. There's a pause. Are you sure? Says Mom. She wasn't supposed to say that. She was supposed to say, how can my precious daughter mess up my day? Of course, I say in overbright tones. You go to your lunch party and we'll have a proper chat later. Well, okay, says Mom, if you're sure. I'll pop over and get ready, says Janice. Lovely to see you back, Becky. As she disappears through the kitchen door, I look at Dad, who's still staring out the window, brooding. Are you okay, Dad? I say. You've been really quiet. Sorry, he says, turning around with a quick smile. I'm just a little distracted at the moment, thinking about a golf match I've got next week. Very important, he mimes, playing a putt. Right, I say, trying to sound cheerful. But inside I feel more and more uneasy. He's not really thinking about golf. Why is he so cagey? What is going on? So, I say lately, who is that I saw you with earlier? That woman you were with? It's like I've let off a gunshot or something. Mom and Dad are both paralyzed. I can see their eyes darting toward each other, then looking away again. They both look totally panic-stricken. Woman? Says Mom at last. I didn't. She looks at Dad. Did you see a woman, Graham? Maybe Becky means that passerby, he says in a stilted tone. That's right, exclaims Mom in her theatrical voice again. There was a woman just passing by on the street, a stranger. That must have been it, love. Right, of course. I try to smile, but inside I feel a bit sick. Are Mom and Dad lying to me? Well, you go off to your lunch party, I say. Have a great time. As the front door slams, I feel like bursting into tears. I was so looking forward to today, but now I almost wish we'd never come back. No one seems particularly excited to see us. My rare exotic treasure isn't exotic or rare. And why are Mom and Dad being so weird? Do you want another cup of coffee? Asked Luke. No thanks. I scuffed my foot on the kitchen floor. Are you okay, Becky? No, I admit in a small voice. Not really. Coming home isn't like what I thought it would be. Come here. Luke holds out his arms and I nestle into his chest. What were you expecting? That they would drop everything and throw a party? No, of course not. I look up and meet Luke's eye. Well, maybe. Kind of. We've been away all this time and it's like we just popped out to the shops. It was always going to be a gamble surprising everyone, he says reasonably. They weren't expecting us for another 2 months. It's no wonder they're a bit thrown. I know, but it's not just that. I take a deep breath. Luke, do you think Mom and Dad are hiding something? Yes, says Luke. Yes? I'm gobsmacked. I was expecting him to say, Becky, you're imagining things, like he usually does. There's certainly something going on. Luke pauses, and I think I know what it might be. What? I stare at him agog. That woman who was with them, the one they wouldn't tell us about, I reckon she's an estate agent. I think they're considering moving. Moving? I echo in dismay. Why would they do that? This is a lovely house. It's perfect. It is a bit big for them, now that you've gone. But why on earth wouldn't they tell me? My voice rises in distress. I'm their daughter. I'm their only child. They should confide in me. Maybe they thought you might get upset, Luke suggests. I wouldn't get upset, I exclaim indignantly. Abruptly, I realize I am upset. Well, okay, maybe I would, but still, I can't believe they'd keep it a secret. I break away from Luke's arms and walk over to the window. I can't bear the idea of Mom and Dad selling this place. My eyes sweep over the garden in sudden nostalgia. They can't leave this garden. They just can't. This is where I learned to walk. This is where Luke and I got married. Suddenly, my attention is caught by the sight of Tom Webster in the garden next door. He's dressed in jeans and a t-shirt that says, my wife left me and all I got was this lousy t-shirt, and is struggling to carry the hugest plank of wood I've ever seen. Blimey, he looks quite ferocious. It may not be that, Luke is saying behind me. I may be wrong. You're not wrong. I turn around miserably. It has to be that. What else could it be? Well, don't think about it. Come on, it's the christening tomorrow. You'll see Suze. Yes, I feel my spirits rise. That's true. Luke's right. Maybe today hasn't gone quite according to plan, but tomorrow will be fantastic. I'll be reunited with Suze again, my best, most closest friend in the whole entire world. I just can't wait.